much for joining us on another episode of Inspired by Miss Red. Today I'm here with Adrienne, myself, this one over here,
Tania,
whose episode this is all about.
Oh my God.
And then Sasha's over there right next to, what's your name again? Tania.
I was so focused on looking at myself in the camera. I was like,
I'm not sure when this episode's coming out, but I just wanted to say happy birthday to Tania. She's turning 30. Yay! Yes.
30.
Big 3
Oh my gosh, Sasha, why'd you have to tell everybody? Thank you guys.
It's okay. It's a good moment to celebrate.
It is. Yeah, I feel like it's been a big jump, especially too for
She's all
this
grown up.
birthday.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. So where do we want to start?
Okay, so yeah, what are we talking about today?
My transition. Dun dun dun.
I transitioned. So Tania started off, I don't even know. So you were half hourly and then half like apprentice, right?
Yes.
And then just full apprentice and then like a commissioned artist. And now you're just going to be room rental.
Just room rent.
Not
yeah.
just room rental, because if you guys don't know, there's a lot that goes into that. So how's it
Yeah,
been?
it has been.
What have you learned?
I knew there was obviously stuff that goes into doing your own business, but yeah, it's been a lot. And every time, luckily, I'm all good. I'm licensed, insured, and I have a tax ID number and a booking system.
She's official.
And a website.
She's official.
And I mean, I knew like what had to go into it, but then it's not till you're really in it when you're like, oh shit, this is actually kind of a lot. And every time I, like, took one step and I got one thing, like, now it's like, okay, well, now it's, like, brought up this, and that. And now I go to this bit to get a Henderson business license. And they're like, oh, well, like, you need this zoning paper and this,
of course,
like, leasing. So it's just a lot. But I'm definitely glad I got it out of the way. And for me, too, just like Sasha mentioned, it's my 30th birthday. So I felt like it was very important to get this all done and handled.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I didn't know your birthday was like you're 30 and this is happening. That's really cool.
That's cool.
90 babies are turning 30.
I
Oh,
know,
it's crazy.
So crazy. I'm still a
Running a
13-year-old
business.
teenager. At what point do you stop feeling like a teenager?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I was walking through those buildings and I was like, am I even like supposed to be here? Like, am I allowed to be here?
It's so funny. So what part of your journey so far has been like the craziest? Like what situation has drove you the craziest?
Situation that showed me the craziest.
Like paperwork, not having the right forms.
I hate all that big kid stuff. I
Yeah.
hate it. It's like I will put off, and I know, especially with another conversation we're about to have. I know I'm not so, you're not supposed to put off shit like that. Like you're supposed to just knock it out. The things that you dislike the most, you should do first, because otherwise we procrastinate and do them till the very last minute. But
well, and that's me, because I know I'm gonna get it done, but I will wait to the very last minute. Like my first real true client is tomorrow. And
my first true client.
Well, like
she's
under
been tattooing for 40 years.
Yeah, I've been tattooing for years. But to me, this is like my first real client, like on my own, like my own paper, like everything solely like booked. And like, I mean, I booked my own clients before, but like everything is under me. And I just got my insurance yesterday just because I knew it was going to be like an easy just phone call. I mean, all that paperwork, I hate doing it. And it's honestly really scary, especially when I called and the lady's like, oh yeah, you have like a $4 million, like $4 million, like $4 million for what?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it's just like your policy, or like if someone, does this and that. And I'm like, that's really scary and things I never even wanted to think about or do. But I've been lucky enough to where it has, I mean, it's an annoying process, but it's been, I feel like I've had the right people to help me with what I've needed to do. So filing my business license was super easy. Getting a registered agent, super easy. Getting my bank account, that was easy. I didn't take everything I needed, but the lady was so nice, and she ended up like wanting to book eyebrows with me. So everyone that I've met throughout the way has been very super helpful. I know not everybody, it's like that easy, or they have to go through like other
has that experience.
Yeah, or even
harder.
when I went down to like the Henderson office, not to call them out, but I feel like
it's always different information.
In our industry and what we do is like a very fine line. Like we're not microbladers, but we're also like, I am a tattoo. I'm not a microblader. I would consider myself a tattoo artist, but I'm not doing body tattoos. Yeah. And like, how do you try to explain to someone that like the city office, it's like, oh, well, I'm doing tattoos, but on someone's face, which doesn't really make it like body tattoos.
Unfortunately, it's like that with health department too. When
Yeah,
they come in, they don't understand the difference
crazy.
between, it's just like, oh, but use machine, but wait, like it's like they finally introduced that permanent permanent makeup card. But they just recently did that. For the last 10 years, they have not known. They were just like, oh, you're considered a microblader. I'm like, but we use machine. Like, that's not even a microbladed, and it's like,
like,
not
I
a
wouldn't
hand
even
tool.
know what to do with a microblade machine.
Which is so weird because permanent makeup's been around for a while now. So you think they would
time,
catch up.
Like, so they could have been assholes and like not pass me off or like for inspection, or so everyone's been super helpful. And honestly, I really feel like it's been an easy transition for me. It's annoying because I don't want to do all of that paperwork stuff, and then now I'm just like, oh shit, like I need to get and I'm lucky that I can I tell Amber all the time, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna steal your shit, I'm gonna jock your shit, I'm gonna take it, because I'm like, I know, I mean, obviously being this in the studio and this is the only thing I ever known, like I know when it comes to like legal stuff and our paperwork and like what we're doing is correct, so I'm lucky to be able to just kind of ride off that.
Well, that's how it was with Girls Inc. too, right? They had because those forms that we're all using, that we all have come to know, those forms, like all those medical forms and the client history forms and all that stuff, Taryn did that with her lawyer. So then it was like, okay, cool, like, trust it, but do I really? So then I did it with my lawyer, because I obviously over the years added stuff to it too, and I'm sure you'll probably do the same. Like at some point you'll be like, okay, the forms are good, but now you're coming across other situations where you're like, maybe I should add this, like, is it okay to word it this way, and it shouldn't be done this way? So those forms are rock solid.
Like having Adrienne too, I call Adrienne, I'm like, Adrienne.
Yeah, I actually had to do this all by myself, so just treading through all of what they're doing here in San Francisco. Health department is not as particular with who microbladers are, who machine artists are. We're all under the same umbrella. So some of the stipulations are a little different. So I just look at what they're going through and what we go through, but we pay a lot of money just to have a permit. And then we have to have a permit, and they call it a JO1 and a permit JO2, which is for your practitioner. So I am the owner. I do have one for my establishment, but I also need to have one for me practicing. And then whoever else coming in, I need to have them under the same, or not the same, but they have to have their own license, just as they do here, but it's a little different. So doing what they're doing and helping them in some way, however I can, it's definitely a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and I literally had no one to help me. I literally didn't even want to be a business owner. I just wanted to, show, I'm a lash artist, so I just wanted to do lashes, and then, the world God just put me to do whatever it is that I needed to do, and so that's why I'm here.
I'm like a psychopath, because I feel like no matter how good the paperwork, I'm always second guessing it. I'm like, is it right? I don't know.
Like we said, there's always going to be like some sort of and if you don't know, also, aside from a journalism background, I also have a degree in business administration. So I've seen a lot of these, like, all of these things aren't new to me, but I just didn't want to deal with. Yeah, so that's why some of those things are like some tax forms or like some, I'm like, okay, I know like what I used to do like ledgers, and I used to do like payroll, and I used to do all these things in school and like in my other job. So I'm like, okay, like those aren't completely new to me. And sometimes like I know the severity of like doing this or doing that. So that's why it was like scary to me. But yeah, I mean, you just gotta do it.
Are you glad that now you're to this point?
I'm glad it's over, that I did that already, and now it's just, and then it's always, I'm thinking like, oh my god, like, am I even gonna have clients to upkeep, everything that I'm paying for and like what I'm doing? But I'm just like, I know it'll all just...
You will. It'll always works out.
Yeah, it's all find its way. So my goal was like, okay, I just need to make like room rent for the first month. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I got it. And then I'm like, oh shit, well, that's not my only expense. Like, now I'm paying for my website, and I'm paying for my Square, and I'm paying for my insurance, and I'm paying for my phone. I thought I only needed X amount when really it's double. So now I was like, okay, so now I need to do this. And then literally in a matter of like a week, that like everything I needed was just there.
Does it looking, I mean, obviously you're not new to the studio, right? You've been around for 4 years, so it's like, does it give you a different perspective or outlook on the studio as a whole? Does it make things feel different to you?
A little bit. Yeah, I'm like, I wouldn't want to do this in the studio.
And try to keep track of everybody's all the time.
I wouldn't.
I always praise Amber, because I'm like, how do you do that?
I asked that question because, like, when I stepped outside, because, I mean, when you're in it, I felt like when I was in it, and I'd like, there'd be certain things, like, we're human, right? So it's like, there'd be certain things where I'd be like, why didn't she do that way? Or how come that slipped up? Or how come, and I would get kind of like, what the fuck, And then like stepping out of it, I look back and I'm like, oh. I think I just come from more of a kind place. Like when I thinking back on those thoughts now, I'm like, oh shit, okay, so she was spread too thin in that moment, and she could have, we all could have not put ourselves into a situation where we're spread so thin. But in the moment when you're like trying to juggle so many things, I think now I come from that. Like, she'll say something now, and I'm like, oh, it makes more sense now seeing it from an outside perspective.
Well, I have that perspective, like doing the same thing where I thought that person was like not really being nice about their payout or whatever, but now that I am in it and I'm actually doing it and
see how much it actually costs
I'm
for
like,
everything.
oh my god, because I have somebody doing my bookkeeping. I actually have to be my admin when I'm not being an artist, and then I come here and I'm like a slew of just greatness, and then her having to do everything. It's just, I don't
do my bookkeeping anymore. Tanya's going to do hers now starting out. I did mine starting out, but now
I did mine starting out.
I pay somebody to do all that stuff now.
I was overwhelmed. I literally went into a little bit of a depression because I was just like, oh my God, how do I do this? What am I going to do? How do I, I was like, can I just be the artist? Can I just be the artist?
That's my thing, too. Because I'm like, I mean, I know I'm not an expert, but I like doing social media, and I like doing the web stuff. Like, and it's something I'm good at. So in my old job, that's all I did. It was like administered all of that, and I like zoning into one thing and getting things done. So it's hard when I go home like after work and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do today? Am I going to do my website stuff, or am I going to do legal stuff, or am I going to do artist stuff? Yeah. And it's just hard to do all that because I'm like, okay, I want to get clients and I want to do this, but I'm like, okay, I have to do this and I also have to do this. And then as an artist, like, you have to practice too. So I'm like, okay, now I have to find time practicing. So, like, Adrienne puts her little videos and stuff, like, practicing. And I do that. And then I'm, like, listening, or I'm doing, like, legal stuff, or, like, working on my website. And I have a class going on in the back. So I'm, like, I'm the same. I'm, like, I just want to be an artist. Like, I just want the clients to just come to me. Like, I just want to focus on this. But I'm, like, now I have to worry about inventory. And now I'm, like, oh, shit, they have a client on Saturday.
Yeah, when I get to that, like, it's just, like, oh, my God, I want to do this. I want to do this, but I want to practice. But I got to do this. And you kind of, like, get mad because you're just, like, I want to
and I'm, like, I want to get my website done because I know once I sit down and actually get it done, like, I can really get it done and make it look real nice. But I'm like, now we have our Valentine's Day sale. I know it'll be long gone after you guys listen to this, but I'm like, okay, that sale's going on, and then okay, now we have First Friday. Now I have like this sale, and then I have to like, it's a lot of planning, and I wish I could just duplicate myself.
I didn't even realize it until like 6 months ago. I was like, oh shit, I'm trying to do this for 2 different businesses. Because I tried to separate myself out of Inspired. I'm like, I'm still in the same brand. Yeah. Then it got Inspired, and I'm like, fuck. So it's like everything you're saying, I'm like, I feel it like times 2. Because I'm like, holy fuck, how am I doing all this?
I don't want any employees yet.
I'm staying, like, I've seen it. I just kind of work by myself. And then when I decided to do my apprenticeship and come into, a beautiful studio of women that are just very talented, I was like, wow. So now when I go back home, I'm just kind of like, oh, I miss them. I want to go back. So, and then also traveling. So traveling, doing my business, working very long hours just so that I can come over here and just really just focus in. But I don't care if you're a seasoned artist or not a seasoned artist, practicing is very much key. I mean, because quality over quantity.
Oh, yeah.
So I would say, let's see, how, I want to say this. So how long would you say that somebody needs, like with all that stuff that you mentioned, like setting it into place, maybe not procrastinating, like how long would you say that somebody probably needs to get all of that set up? Because you probably have a lot of new people out there that are like thinking about doing their own business.
I would honestly, if you don't want to stress yourself out, I would give yourself, if you have a start date in mind, start like 2 months before. You really could. I mean, I was able to knock it out within days just because I got lucky. But you might need something, and you can't get it right away. You have to reach out to somebody else, and then they have to reach out to somebody else. So, or like a month and a half. Though, well, no, 2 months because you have to think about inventory.
Well, I guess too, if they're looking for a space, you might have to look a little earlier.
I would say at least for legalities, allow yourself like 2 months of grace period, so you're also not feeling like me, like, oh crap, like I need to do it by this day, like, so you don't have, so you can do it without feeling overwhelmed. And also too, like, you're gonna, you know, you sit down and then you're like, oh crap, I realize I need this, I realize I need that. And then, you know, I have all my stuff and I go to the Henderson business license. They're like, oh, you need an about estate tax. And I'm like, huh? And they're like, yeah, like, you have to do that with this. So like, so yeah, just give yourself that time, because even though you think something's gonna happen on your timeline, it might not be that way.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
I don't know. I just kind of.
And that's that.
Yeah.
So everybody congratulate Tanya.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Congrats, Tanya.
Tania D Artistry, book with me.
So she can pay her rent.
Yes.
And Amber can go on more vacation.
Yes. To make Amber a happy person.
I'm here to support her. I'm here to
everybody's
support
like,
her.
I want a vacation, please.
Here to support her.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. And go make sure to follow Tanya, because she needs all the support and love right now, especially right now. So, thank you guys for joining us. And we will talk to you. Oh, wait, Tanya?
Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and book with me.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye, guys.